Welcome to Jackie's Proof Animals Have Souls and Psychic show, produced through Passionate World Talk Radio, a subsidiary of Global Media Network. I'm pleased to be a new host presenting yet another show. If you've listened to my show before, you will know I'm a psychical researcher, spiritual historian, lecturer, and decades-long vegetarian for compassionate reasons, and author of 3 books. These are Proof Animals Have Souls, 500 plus celebrities go vegetarian, and Moses and Jesus the Shamans. Shamans are mediums or channels. Listeners will come to realise I am passionate about compassion and respect for all animals, including the human animal, and also my long-standing research into shamanic, out-of-body, near-death experiences and mediumship. For me, both the evidence of survival through mediumship and near-death experiences accounts not only provide some of the best evidence for after-death survival for all beings, but also provide details regarding the after-death landscapes that appear to be responsive to predominant thought patterns. My 2 books in my Proof Animals Have Souls series, namely Proof Animals Have Souls and 500 plus celebrities go vegetarian, can all be read independently. My 3rd book is Moses and Jesus the Shamans. All 3 books are available on Amazon and other online bookstores as paperbacks and ebooks. All 3 book covers and academic peer reviews can be viewed on my website. By clicking on my website book cover images, each book will take you to the 3 Amazon book links. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for your reviews on Amazon and the other online bookstores. I invite listeners to email me your accounts of mediumistic and psychic experiences that include and don't include spirit animals. I also want to hear your spiritual, psychic and mediumistic beliefs, observations, comments and questions. I also welcome your views on fellow animals. I always say it's a good policy to agree to disagree and respect each other's viewpoints, and that's the secret to healthy and often life-changing debates. I will regularly read out listeners' opinions and their accounts, and we can discuss these in future shows. To get in touch and learn more, my website is Jackie, Jackie, joneshunt.com. That's all small case and all one word, and Jackie is spelt as Jack, adding IE to the end. www.jackiejoneshunt.com, and my email is jackiejoneshunt@gmail.com. I'll repeat my email and website at the end of Jackie's Proof Animals Have Souls and Psychic show. To move on with today's show, I'd like to say thank you to David from England for his passionate and lengthy remarks he's asked me to share with you. David contacted me saying he was brought up in a carnivorous family, saying most kids accept it as they know nothing else at this young age. His family ate all types of animal flesh, and as a child he gravitated to animals, especially finding wounded and sick wild animals which he rescued, healed, nurtured, fed, and later freed them back into the wild. Later in life, David says he realised there's a huge conflict between loving animals and eating them. And at that time he read the words in a book that shook him to the heart. Animals are my friends, and I don't eat my friends. With that, David realised if you love animals, you can't kill or have animals killed for you to eat them. David wants to share with listeners that as he grew older, he became increasingly aware that animals feel love and affection towards us, to their partners also, and to each other. David says he feels everything boils down to raising people's awareness. David says as his own awareness grew, he realised that birds and diverse animals experience emotions and demonstrate emotional feelings. They demonstrate intelligence, and that they all certainly feel pain. David says he's particularly opposed to people who breed animals, often keeping them for their whole lifetime in cramped cages or pens, and then letting them out for the sole purpose of slaughtering them. David says he's passionately against fox hunting and breeding foxes to be terrorised and hunted by packs of hounds. I'd like to just add here that fox hunting typically took place, or takes place, in the season when the female fox is typically pregnant, weighed down carrying her unborn fox cubs in her belly. David is also against shooting pheasants and partridges, and he passionately believes that killing and shooting living creatures should not be called a sport. David challenges people to think again, as some people are causing intense pain and suffering, as many animals and birds don't die immediately, and many are left badly wounded, fighting for life in severe pain. David says people use buildings and sheds and make a big business out of keeping fellow animals and birds in small, often overcrowded cages for this cruel activity. David says he's seen disfigured birds with clipped beaks and wings, making it more difficult for the bird to fly for the first time, and easier for the shooter to shoot them, when the birds find their newfound freedom. But tragically, it is only momentarily. David disagrees with anyone, including the British monarchy, carrying out any of the above on large royal and non-royal estates, as he feels this is done in the misused name of sport. David suggests people try a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle, as he has found over the years lots of lovely vegan food. David says there's a big uptake in vegetarian living, and he says there's so much veggie and vegan food out there now, and intensive farms and images are horrendous. Thousands of chickens in overcrowded smelly sheds with no freedom, limited space for movement, and pigs and cattle who never see the light of day. He says fellow animals, just like you and me, naturally want to experience the sun, the sky, the fresh air, freedom, and should have legal rights to such basic freedoms of life. David wants to share with listeners that he spoke to an intelligent young man recently, asking him what milk he was drinking, and did he realise what they do to get that cow's milk for you. David told him he's regularly heard distraught cows crying for many weeks when their babies, their calves, are taken away from them. I must add, cows crying for weeks when their calves are taken from them is a well-known phenomenon amongst farmers. David says cow's milk is formulated for cows, not human beings. And David adds, so many kind people are simply unaware of the suffering and pain involved in bringing animal flesh and products to us for human consumption. David says he never calls slaughterhouses the socially accepted name of abattoirs, and David shares with listeners he knew a man who worked in a slaughterhouse who told him if people knew what blood, suffering and hell goes on in slaughterhouses, no one would eat animal and bird flesh or animal and bird related products. I'd like to add that cookery programs covering animal flesh and butchered remains in sauce preparation totally overshadows in people's minds the background of animal suffering and slaughter. And I'd like to give a big vote of thanks to David from England for sharing his passionately held views with listeners. Now, I would like to just mention the book 500 Plus Celebrities Go Vegetarian, because David mentioned the quote that animals are my friends and I don't eat my friends. I've heard the expression, animals are family and we don't eat family. In my book, 500 Plus Celebrities Go Vegetarian, I collected around 800 quotes from the world's wisest spiritual teachers ranging across world religions and the centuries, from the earliest times to present day. These include the most eminent and famous throughout the centuries, such as the Buddha, Jesus, Pythagoras, Plutarch, Plato, Hindu yogis, Confucius, Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, right through the ages of the world, acclaimed authors, celebrities, and famous vegetarians, including Paul and Linda McCartney from Beatles fame. You're invited to dip into this book daily for your quote of the day and learn how all the world's greatest minds throughout history to present day know animals are tragically and heartbreakingly born into hell on this human-dominated planet. The world's greats passionately ask us to treat all animals with love, kindness, admiration, and compassion. Both Moses and Jesus the Shamans and my Proof Animals Have Souls series have been described by animal charities, academics, mediums, celebrities, and fellow authors as a deeply thought-provoking, potentially life-changing, pure gold must-read. I would suggest these books are consoling, providing a much-needed spiritual, emotional, and intellectual sanctuary for the heartbroken, grieving, bereaved, who mourn the loss of beloved animals and fellow human animals alike. I wrote these books for the spiritually inclined and for those seeking answers regarding after-death survival for all beings. Most importantly, those who love animals and their family pets will receive solace and assurances that all life forms, all beings survive death as a natural law of nature. We are all animals, and it's ludicrous and impossible to say some beings survive death and other beings don't. All life forms are related, and all have an eternal, auric energy or soul that cannot be destroyed. Remember, some humans have forgotten the fact that humans are biologically classified as mammals, primates, and animals, and human embryos have distinct tails and gills in the human mother's womb. During embryonic development, human tails and human gills in our mother's womb are usually transformed by the time of human birth. We are all animals, whether 2- or 4-legged, tailed or winged. Anyone who has lived with an animal companion typically learns their 4-legged, tailed or winged, vulnerable, innocent, emotionally dependent, childlike, confidant show more love, loyalty and devotion than most fellow human animals. This is why our love link with our 4-legged, tailed, winged animals is so intensely powerful. Animals are our teachers, healers, loving companions, the dearest, defenseless, trusting, adoring, sympathetic, empathetic, 4-legged, winged or tailed childlike friend we could ever have. My books aim to instill confidence in readers that all beings survive physical death as a fact of nature, as a natural law of nature. They learn that the love bond, acting like a magnet, draws each of us to loving after-death reunions with all the tailed, winged, 2- and 4-legged beings with whom we share a love bond. We should look forward to loving after-death reunions in the non-physical spirit landscapes. My books will also be enjoyed by readers and listeners who are interested in animals and are philosophically and environmentally aware. Readers learn that survival on this planet for all beings depends on humanity learning how vital it is to treat all fellow animals with the utmost compassion and admiration, and how this respect for all individual lives filters down to how human animals treat each other. I'd like to add a word on experiences of spirit animals. A student in one of my Scottish psychical research classes told me she had a hamster and cat who fascinated her for hours as she watched them play together as great friends. Sadly, the hamster passed away, and soon after, sitting in her living room, she saw the spirit hamster run across the carpet besides the wooden skirting board. Quickly she took a photograph which showed a clear energy orb in the exact spot where her vision saw the hamster. Some time later she joined my class and shared her photo with me and our class, and the photograph is under articles on my website jackiejoneshunt.com. I've taken my dogs to have their auras photographed, just as I have had my aura photographed too. I have a number of Zoom talks on my website, and the one called Proof Animals Have Souls displays the auric photograph of my dogs. As I've said before, I believe the aura is the soul, the spirit, the eternal energy that scientists say cannot be destroyed but can transmute in form. This brings me back to my Nana saying after her death that death for her felt like the butterfly coming out of the chrysalis. I imagine she felt floating freely out of the old, worn-out body. I've had a lifetime of personal and observational proof that all life survives physical death. I believe we are given knowledge to share with others, and it's our duty to do that. I've observed Gordon Higginson, as I've mentioned in previous shows, over many years, the wonderful British evidential medium, who gave detailed clairvoyant and clairaudient messages from spirits. Gordon delivered spirits' names, spirits' street names, and their cause of death. Gordon described spirits' characters and jobs, and demonstrated trance, being overshadowed by spirits talking through him, and physical phenomena materializations, manifestations of spirit, and he gave auric readings. Gordon became a dear friend over many years of my observational psychical research. Gordon regularly had animals communicate with him, proving their presence by showing him their ghost-like, etheric spirit bodies and telepathically sending him their love, emotions and feelings to convey on to others. Animals and birds are innocent, naive, childlike, defenceless souls living in a grossly human-dominated world. Many of these vulnerables convey through mediums their love for their adoptive human parents and their animal families. During my many years of psychical research, I've observed countless mediums over decades receive communications and clear sightings of spirit birds, spirit animals and spirit people. I've listened to an extensive range of direct voice trance spiritual philosophy when the entranced medium is distinctly in an altered state of consciousness and distinct spirit voices emanate from the medium, giving spiritual philosophy and answering questions about the after-death landscapes. Folks, time has run out for today's show. And remember, I greatly value receiving your views and reports on everything psychic and mediumistic, and your accounts of your mediumistic experiences with and without animals. To get in touch and see more, my website is JackieJonesHunt.com. All small case, all one word, Jackie spelt as Jack with IE, and my email being JackieJonesHunt@gmail.com. And look forward to speaking with you next time.